this video we are going to see how we our series, and in this video we are going to see how we can connect our front end part with our back end part. So let's get started. Inside my task list component, we have created few event handlers like my on submit click and on delete click. So in this video we are going to see that how we are going to make API calls to the endpoints that we have created inside our server.js file. So to make API calls, we need help of some package. First, let's install that. So I'll just navigate to my client folder and I'll write npm install axios. Once the installation is completed, we'll go back to my task list.js and we'll import our action. And from my on submit, we will make an API call to our add task endpoint. So basically my add task is going to be a post request. So we'll quickly change API app.get to app.post and let's write an axios call. So we'll write axios.post and over here we are going to write my endpoint. So my local host is running on port 4000. Now the particular task that I get, I'm going to submit or I'm going to make a post request to my add task endpoint, and this endpoint is directly going to take my task and store it into my SQL database. So we need to provide our task here through our endpoint. So inside this object we are going to write task, and my task is going to be the task from the state which I'm changing on my onChange handler. So here I'll just pass this dot state dot task. Now let's just simply add a console in my add task and see whether we get that. Let's go back to my local host 3000. I'll just add some random task and hit submit. Let's go back to our terminal and you can see that we get something called as undefined over here. So the reason why it's coming undefined is that we need to parse the response. For that we are going to require another package inside our server which is called as body-parser. So let's open a new terminal and I'm going to change my directory to my server folder, and here I'm going to write npm install body-parser. Once the installation is done, we are going to require the body parser inside my server.js. Inside my app.use, I am going to write body-parser.json. That's it. Let's again go to my local host and refresh it once and again add some random task. Let's just hit submit and check our console, and here we get my task. So now is the most important part, that is writing the SQL query inside my art task. So suppose we'll just head to my workbench, and inside my workbench I am simply going to write an SQL query to add a task in my task manager table. So I'll write insert into to manager, which is my table name. So this is my SQL query which is running perfect. let's just copy this SQL query, and inside my app.post I'm going to create add query. It's query, and I'm just going to paste my query. And over here, okay, we can do one thing is that we will insert it into double quotes so that the single quotes won't create any conflict over here. And instead of writing have fun, we are going to write request.body.task that we have seen just a while ago. And now over here we are going to make use of template string. I'll write dollar curly brackets and request.body and q.body.task. Now to execute this query on my SQL, I need to first create a connection between my front-end part and my back-end part. So to create a connection, let's first install a package called as MySQL2. Change my directory to server, and inside my server I'll write npm install MySQL2. So once the installation is done, I'm going to create a new file inside my server folder called as db.js. And inside my db.js I'm going to import the package that we have just downloaded. So I'll write constant mysql equal to require mysql2. Great. Now we are going to create a constant name connection, and we are going to write mysql.create connection. So create connection is very important. Create connection will take an object, and inside an object we are going to provide some values. First value is the host, and in my case I'm making use of localhost. So I'll write localhost. Then I'm going to write user, and now my user is the root user, so it's root. Then the password, and my password is simply password, and name of my database, right, database, and the name of my database, as you can see here, is to do manager. So I'll write it as well, to do manager. Great. And now we are simply going to export my connection. So inside my server.js I'm going to import my connection. Now we are going to make use of this connection to fire a query, which is my add query. So I'll write connection.query, which is my will get me, first will be an error, and we'll just write an if condition. Let's just head to my localhost and check if everything is working fine. I'll again refresh my page and write always be happy, always be happy. I guess this is the most important task that everyone needs to do daily. So we'll just hit submit, and we have an error, and the error is we need to add my task inside quotes. So I'll just add quotes over here. I'll save it. Always be happy. Let's just check. Keep smiling. Hit submit. Go to my database and check, and here we have my task has been added successfully. But now as you can see that since even though we are adding our task, we don't see it inside our cards. So for that, what we need to do is that in my task list to get all the tasks that are present inside my database. So to do that, we are again going to write an function which is going to fetch the list of all my tasks from my database and show it to the user. So let's write a function, say get task list, and my task list is going to make an axios dot get request to my task. Here we will write and then response dot data. We get my response. I need to store it inside my state, a task list inside my state, which is going to be an array, and this is going to hold all my tasks. So inside my get task list, I write dot then response, and I'm going to set it inside my state, which is going to be response. So here it is. And now we need to call my get task list, and we are going to call it inside my component did mount method. Now I need to iterate my task list as per the cards. So I will write so I'm iterating over my task list, and instead of hard coding it to be friends of Veronica, I'm going to write task dot tasks. Tasks, I guess it is TASKS. So to be S, and constant task query equal to, we'll just copy paste this query and put it inside quotes, and we'll just copy paste the same thing, and instead of add query we'll write task query, and along with error we are going to now get the response as well, and instead of response dot send task has been added, we'll send response. Great. Now let's check it. Okay, great. So as you can see, we have a list of all the tasks that are present inside our database. Now let's try to add a task. Attend online lectures. We'll submit it, and we assume that it has been added in my database, but I don't see it here on the screen. So we will now call our get task list method in my on submit click just right after my axios.call, and this has to be this dot get task. I'll hit submit, and as you can see we have our task added. Now let us move to the delete part of our task manager. On delete click, let's start writing my code. So I write axios.delete, and to delete any particular task we need its task ID. So inside my on delete click, I am going to pass the task ID of that particular task. So inside my task, I would easily get my task ID. So I write task ID, and let's accept that argument as task ID itself. And first let's go to my server.js, and initially we have written our endpoint to be like this. Let us make a little change and write it to be task ID this fashion. So now I'll write my endpoint over here. I'll just copy paste it. Instead of task, I'll write delete task, and I'll be using again my template strings here, and I'll pass my task ID. Great. Once this is done, I'll just move to my server.js, and for now I'll just write console.log, write request.params dot task ID, and just check whether I'm getting the correct value of my task ID or no. I'll randomly delete some tasks, say sleep early, and as you can see, we are getting the task ID of my sleep early task. So let us quickly write the SQL query for that. So I write constant delete query. I'll go to my workbench and first write the query over here. Great, so my query is successfully executed. So I'll just copy it and paste it inside my code. I'll make use of template strings again, and instead of writing hard-coded my task ID, I'll just write here request.params.task ID. Great. So now again we are going to copy paste the same thing, and instead of add query we are going to write delete query, and along with error we are going to take the response, and here instead of saying task has been added, we'll say task has been deleted. Great. Let's move back to my on delete click. So once my axios.delete is done, I'll again get the list of my updated tasks. So I'll call this .get task list over here. Great. So let's go to my local host and check if everything is working proper or no. So I'll delete, say I have to sing a song task, so I just delete one, and we have an error. This don't send is not a function. So what we can do is that we can just remove this res.send. We just run that again, and here we have, I can successfully delete my task, even add task, say subscribe to the girl who codes. Submit it. You can see the task has been added successfully. Now once we submit this, I say I need to clear my input field. So we can quickly go to my task list, and on submit we can say this dot set state dot task to be again the default value, which is the empty string. Let's check if that's working properly. I can say hit the like button. I'll clear my console and hit send. Great, my task input field has been cleared as well. So guys, this was a short and in detailed video series about how to connect my front end and back end to create a simple to-do task manager app. So if you like this video, do not forget to subscribe to my channel and like and share this video as well. Thank you guys, and see you in another video.